I bet there have been times in your business life where you've been pitched on a product or service and wondered how you were going to get a return on what you're spending. I've also spent a lot of time questioning this exact same thing. And the truth is, I've wondered about it more than once. I've also wondered, why is it that most service providers never really think or talk about what the value of their product or service is? Now, I mean the value, not the value to them, but the value to us. I also find that most of the time suppliers rarely talk about what's known as the total cost of ownership. And that's what the topic of today's video is going to be. Hi, I'm Josh Patrick, founder of the Sustainable Business and Cracking the Cash Flow Code, as well as tons of programs that help you create a sustainable business. I'm also the author of Sustainable, a fable about creating a personally and economically sustainable business. Today we're going to talk about 6 things that are crucial if you want your customers to start thinking about your service not as a cost, but a profit center for their business. And that's a really big deal in my opinion. So let's start with looking at your offering from the customer's point of view. You have to always ask yourself the question, why is the customer or why is your client doing business with you? What is it that they hope to get out of your service that's going to provide them long-term value? Now, when you look at your service offering, I want you to go past exactly what it is, but what's the total cost of doing business with you, or what's the total value somebody gets when they do business with you? That's what your customer is really asking about. That's what I ask about when I look at a service offering, and I'm going to bet you ask the same question yourself. Remember, the value is not only what you save, but also what you create. And what I mean by create for this is, a lot of times we take a service offering and we say, well, this will save you X amount of dollars. Well, that's nice, but that's not where real money is made. Is your product something that's an innovation product? Is it something that's going to help people create more business for themselves? Or is it going to be something that helps them create more profits? That's something you really need to be thinking through and you need to be talking about as you're working with your products. Now, the other thing that you want to think about all the time is, what's the return on investment for the client? So if they're going to spend $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, or even $5,000 with you, are they going to make 10 times the money that you've got? That's a 20 times return on investment. Or are they going to just get their money back? Now, too often I see people saying, well, this is really good if you just get your money back. No, it's not. For example, let's talk about marketing for a minute. If I'm going to spend $5,000 on a marketing program, I expect that marketing program to produce at least $50,000 in revenue for me, because I don't want my marketing costs to be any more than 10% of sales. So as you're thinking about your service, what is your cost of your product as a percent of sales, and what is the return on investment they're going to get? If the return on investment is not at least 4 or 5 times what your cost is, I think you really need to be thinking about that ROI, that return on investment, and what can you do with your product or service to make it worth at least 4 or 5 times what the cost is. The other thing I think that really annoys me, especially about service businesses, is that most of them don't have a guarantee. If you can find a way to have a guarantee, it makes it easier for someone to say yes to you. That way you're doing what's called risk reversal, which is you're taking the risk on, you're not asking your client or your customer to have a leap of faith to do business with you. Now, this has nothing to do with someone coming to work with you. The next thing is really more about when people want to leave. I don't know about you, but boy, there's too many business providers out there that when I finally say it's time for me to leave, they make it really difficult for me. It's not something I want you to do. If somebody wants to leave your business and wants to stop doing business with you, it's really important to make it easy for them to leave, because then you're making it easy for them to come back again. I can't tell you how many times I've done business with somebody and they've left us, and then a year or 2 or 3 years later, they decide, I really like what Patrick was doing and I want to come back to work with him. And finally, it's your job to be specific about what your value is. It's not your customer's job to figure it out. When you're designing your product and your service, be very specific about what the value is that you're providing for your customer and how they get value out and how they get a return for the money they're going to be spending with you. So that's what we've got today. So I hope that you've been thinking about this in a manner, and I hope you spend some time to write down what is your value proposition? How does your customer get the value proposition? And think about this from your customer's point of view. So why don't you leave a comment below about what you're thinking about adding value and creating value for your customers. And while you're at it, download our infographic that shows you the success path about how you can crack the cash flow code in your business. And this is Josh Patrick. Thanks for stopping by. I hope to see you back here really soon.